Show of hands if you're married in the audience. Show of hands. Okay, very few. Okay. we got cameras on the audience. Show of hands if you're currently in a relationship. Okay. So half the audience. Show of hands if you're single. Okay. Now, for all the single dudes out there, raise your hand if you want a girlfriend or a wife or a girl in your life. Show of hands. Okay, so the most of you want a girl in your life. Show of hands if you want to do the Myron approach and have multiple wives. Okay. Now, okay.
All right. We got a lot to unpack here, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Live from your wealthy apartments up by the Gold Coast of Connecticut. You know, we will be discussing basically more about polygamy and discuss furthermore about men having a natural urge to bone multiple women and have as many women as possible in relationships, and basic challenge on Myron's theory open on the man's end, closed on the woman's end, which I have discussed some time ago in like a TikTok short, if I'm not mistaken. I'm discussing about that theory. You know, now what we're going to do is basically discuss more on the polygamy sense, and we are actually going to go dig into two types. We have the imaginary polygamy. This is actually being discussed more. That's actually been talked about in the Red Pill Spaces. And then you have the legal polygamy, which basically you have legalized polygamy that's actually done literally up when all around the world, that's legalized in many countries that's in the African continent, as well as in the Middle East, and maybe to a lesser extent the state of Idaho. Ladies and gentlemen, now polygamy, for those of y'all that aren't even fully aware of, is basically the practice of marrying multiple partners that are of the opposite sex. More so common when men marry multiple wives, you know, having multiple children, making sure they actually live literally under the same household, or at the very least having multiple relationships with many other women while still actually keeping them at bay within your same wavelength, while actually building and maintaining a harem of women and actually building children within that harem, or possibly expanding that harem, you know, so that they would literally be under your radar, right? Now here's the catch though. Okay, the catch is this: the woman would have to literally be complicit, right, in order for that imaginary polygamy, at least in order for it to work, right? And I get a lot of folks, you know, that want to try and follow the red pill method of having multiple wives, you know, basically up in your stable, for all the gentlemen that's actually basically listening. And I understand there has been a practice of imaginary polygamy. There has been an article discussing where, you know, you have a bunch of boyfriends coming by and one girlfriend living all on one roof, right? Now, here's the difference in all of this. When you got multiple boyfriends and one girlfriend doing the whole imaginary polygamy scheme, however it may be with the whole polygamy stuff that actually goes on, you know, say y'all make children, you're limited to just one woman, because a woman can only receive the sperm, you know, after pounding chickens all over the place and pounding beef, handling their business and whatnot, doing their little things like trying to get their rocks off and all that stuff. A woman can only get pregnant one time. They can't have as much pregnancy within going on within 9 months, and it's unknown who's actually the father unless the DNA test is done, or the woman actually remembers on the top of her head. Who knows if they had like probably scrambled eggs within like a couple days work. Who knows who sperm is it? So much so that the DNA test would actually have to be produced at that point to verify, which can cause confusion within the multiple boyfriends that are up in the house. Now, if a man is in a relationship with multiple girlfriends, right, the open relationship with multiple girlfriends and all that stuff, or he's in a legal polygamy with multiple wives, okay, he can impregnate as many women as he wants, as many of his wives as he wants, and build up his build up his children as many times as he could possibly be, because he's the one that's giving out the sperm, he's the one that's giving out the milk. And the wives that he has and the girlfriends he has, would basically have his kids and nurture his kids and fully develop his humans within the 9 months that he has, while he literally just shoots out sperm towards a new woman that he sees. Now here's the catch. In order for this stuff to practically work, polygamies within both types are very, 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 very difficult to literally maintain. If you think one is hard enough to actually try to even start out even dating and actually trying to manage the health and skeletal emotions of a woman, imagine how hard it would be when you handle multiple women, right? For dudes that haven't had yet to actually been a woman that would like to actually have the multiple wives theory that actually Marvin Gaye's Professor Fit is mainly preaching. That's the big issue when it comes to all of this.
Would you say you're like that,
Byron?
Yeah, would you say you would be that way? If you consider yourself, you have all these qualifications. Would you handle a woman like that you see marrying?
Would I have
Like
multiple partners?
If you see yourself marrying this girl, would you handle it that way?
Like, would I have multiple women?
Yes.
100%.
All men that are married cheat.
Why
So
would
just
you
be
not
married. That's a piece of paper.
Okay, well then why? Then why? That's the big question. Why? What do you not get out of yourself, out of the relationship that you need from
You
marriage?
can't settle down with one person.
Okay,
I
so
think women need to realize
Oh
too
my
that you don't have ownership over a man. Like,
This is Jerome. He fell in love with Jasmine. Jerome cheated in all his previous relationships.
I never felt like one female could amount to everything that I wanted. Jasmine was dope. She was able to cook. She was able to clean.
So the couple decided to open up their relationship. And now Jerome has 4 wives.
We don't have a maximum limit of people in a relationship.
Now what we're gonna do, ladies and gentlemen, because I know I gotta try and get home a little bit shortly. I'll basically finalize, the other forums up in the house to come. I will be discussing both types, basically fully on these whole ordeals, weighing the pros and cons of both, basically on a practical sense to see if it could literally be well worth it, basically for the average Joe or for the average woman to see if polygamy is like still a huge deal, and if they still want to actually choose a route, they can choose a route. Elsewise, you may want to try and reconsider the route and actually try to go work in yourself and, work in your self-confidence, try to build yourself up and just go simply talk to people up in the real world and have this sweet conversation and have honest conversations with folks on what folks really want to see whether or not that's the route that you choose to have. So expect future videos on those types to literally come out within the woodwork, ladies and gentlemen. In the meantime, enjoy the view. I know Independence Day is really going on up in these streets, and expect more videos when it comes to this polygamous stuff to come.
49-year-old Daryl Souls told me today he made a drunken mistake in 2018, an unintended marriage. Souls said he had just won $20,000 at the Horseshoe Casino in Tunica, Mississippi, near Memphis. On August 7th, 2018, Souls married a woman who we're choosing not to identify. I called the woman, who described a tumultuous and very brief relationship with Souls, including allegations of abuse. She filed a domestic violence injunction against him in 2019, alleging he made daily threats to kill her, including one incident when he held a machete to her throat. She said she attempted to serve divorce papers twice, but couldn't find where Souls was living. According to Souls, he was under the impression that the casino wedding was just a tourist novelty and not actually legally binding. However, to get married in Mississippi, you need to get a marriage license from the court. It's at least a 24-hour process. Court documents say his second wife, who we're also choosing not to identify, called police in late April, reporting that she had discovered that her husband was already married. It wasn't until last Friday when police spotted Souls at this property on Lee Street in the Fort Caroline neighborhood of Jacksonville. His wife, the second one, said he wasn't home, but officers found him in an upstairs closet. He was arrested and later released. When I spoke to him today at the Lee Street property, his second wife was there as well, but she declined to comment on this story.
Do you see